How about it, y'all? This is Daniel Nicholson with Nicholson Farms, and welcome back to another video. We're gonna have a busy morning this morning, but it's finally fall, or at least it feels like fall. It is 49 degrees right now. The flannels are back on. I'm super excited. This is my favorite time of year. But we got a lot of work done to do this morning. We're just gonna jump right into it. The goats are right here. They've been back for a week now. It's time for them to have a pasture rotation. They're going to actually go up to our pastures up front where our bucks and brisket and our horses are. The horses need to be moved. Brisket and the bucks need to come to this pasture. The nannies are going up there. So we got a lot of shuffling to do this morning. I want to put up a temporary fence so our goats can go over to our neighbor's property. It's an old grown-up cow pasture that they said I could let the goats out there and graze during the day. So we're just going to set up a temporary fence so they can run over there during the day and come back to the pasture without, I'm not worried about them going everywhere else. So we got all that to do. And on top of that, I want to take the tractor up to the lease and do some bush hogging. So yeah, we got a busy morning. I want to try to get all this knocked out before 12 o'clock. So we'll just get started. I've got sheep and another goat in this little pasture. We're going to get them back with the herd here in a second. Been keeping them separate so it's easier to feed them separate. The one nanny, I'm gonna run through the chute real quick and give her a vitamin B injection, and we'll rejoin them with the herd. And then we're gonna see if we can get Brisket and the Billies down here. If you watched I guess it was our last video or two videos ago, Brisket can be hard-headed. So I got the trucks already lined up, kind of making a lane all the way down here, so we'll just kind of see how that goes. But I'm gonna throw this goat in the chute. We're gonna give her some vitamin B, and we're gonna get started. We got a busy morning ahead of us, so let's get to it. Good morning, sheep. So I got some food in there. Let's see if we can get this nanny right here is the one I'm talking about that needs a vitamin B injection. This is a goat that kind of got down, I don't know, after kidding season last year. She got better and looked at her eyelids the other day. She was kind of hanging back. And of course they're pale. So we're just gonna give her some vitamin B for a couple days, 5 days, along with some red cell. Try to boost her back. I did a lot of culling this year and I really don't want to get rid of her just for a numbers standpoint. I don't advise doing that, but I really need her to produce at least one kid this year, and after that, her and her offspring both will probably be sold, depending on how she does in the future. But like I said, I don't advise doing that, but it's just a number standpoint right now. I really want to hold on to her. I'll just try to get an extra baby next year. We'll just kind of see how it goes. If she goes downhill a little more, we'll be taking her to the sale barn. But if she shows me that she's gonna fight and try to get better, she'll stick around. She looks a whole lot better than she did about 3 days ago. 3 days ago, she was just kind of lethargic, laying around, not really doing too much, not getting an appetite. And so I dewormed her, gave her some Nutri-Drench, gave her vitamin B and red cell, and that vitamin B will kind of give her appetite, get her eating some more grass and some grain, and just not even showing her, and just trying to push her along. We'll see how she goes. Let me see if I can get her in this old farm scale so it's easier for me to get my hands on her. And we'll give her one injection and some red cell, and we're gonna let these girls back out with that herd, so when we bring Brisket and the Billies in, they can just come straight in here and go straight in this little pen. So typically my protocol, whenever I have a goat that's kind of down, just doesn't act like it feels good, and it's kind of wormy, day one, I'm gonna give it dewormer, whether it's Valbazin, Prohibit, most of the time both. Whenever I'm doing the combination wormer now, and then I'm gonna give it 10 squirt, or like a 100-pound doe, I'm gonna give her about 10 squirts of the Nutri-Drench orally in her mouth. Then I'm gonna give her 5 cc's of red cell and 5 cc's of vitamin B complex in the muscle. And then for 5 days, I'm gonna do the red cell and the vitamin B. And then on day 5, I'll do my last day, I'll do 5 cc's of the red cell, 5 cc's of the vitamin B. And then I'm also gonna do the 5 squirts of the Nutri-Drench as well. And hopefully by then she's pretty much recovered. I do like to kind of pull them off the herd during feeding time and make sure they're make sure they're eating well if possible. It all depends on the goat, how wild they are, how hard they are to catch. But we're gonna go ahead and give her this red cell and this vitamin B, and we're gonna get her back out on the pasture. Sorry about the shaky camera. This thing kind of butts up to the fence where I got my camera sitting on. But she's good to go. We're gonna let them back out in the pasture, and I'm gonna see if I can grab my brother real quick and see if we can get Brisket and the billies down here. So now for the fun part, trying to move Brisket. These bucks are probably gonna be easy to move, just with a bucket of feed. We'll see if we can get Brisket on up here. I didn't feed him yesterday afternoon in hopes that he'd be more enticed by a bucket. So we'll just kind of see. He's working his way over here. I'm gonna open the gate. Hopefully he just follows these billies on down there. Come here. Just kind of get behind him when he comes out. Come on, Brisket. Might want to walk out there and get behind him a little. This could go really good or really bad. He either follows us and gets in the pen, or we might be chasing a cow, or we might even have a free-range cow by the end of the day. All right, come on, here he comes. All right, we're on the move. Come on, Brisket. No, no, no. There he comes. Bishop. I'm excited this morning. Ah. Come on, Brisket. Let's see if I can get around. Turn around, Brisket. Follow them goats. We caught the wild beast. This goat right here is in heat. She wants some Clyde loving. She's kind of hanging back yesterday. I was kind of a little worried about her, but I let them out yesterday and they went over to the neighbor's pasture. She's hanging out by the fence the whole day, so I think that's why she's kind of acting a little weird. But not yet, girl. November, into November. Ha! Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Brisket, let's move. Let's go. So they're gonna hang out right here until I get the nannies moved, and then they'll be out on the big pasture. But we're gonna go ahead and move the nannies. I don't have my temporary fence set up. I'm just gonna go ahead and move them over to the neighbor's property. They should be good for a couple hours. I've got to run to town, get a haircut real quick. But we're gonna move them over to the neighbor's property, and when I get back from town, we'll set up the temporary fence, and then we're gonna go do some bush hogging. So we got the whole herd here. Got a bucket of feed. Gonna kind of be the same situation. We're just gonna get them interested in this bucket. We're gonna walk over to the neighbors. Maybe they'll take off if you have interest in grass instead of this bucket. Ah! Wait for everybody to get out the gate. So kind of a fun story. I had the goats out yesterday, just kind of letting them roam around, eat acorns in the yard, and going over on the neighbor's pasture. And we had our internet, or my parents had their internet installed yesterday, and the people showed up, and it was just a bunch of goats running around the yard. I asked the guy, I said, have you ever been to a house and they just got free range goats everywhere? And he just kind of laughed and said, no, I ain't quite seen this yet. But I thought it was kind of funny. So this is the pasture beside our goat pasture. It's just kind of grown up cow pasture nobody uses right now. The pasture they're gonna be in is actually right there. So our temporary fence is gonna cut across the front of my parents' yard. And they can just kind of hang out here during the day while I'm home or my parents are off. They can just open the gate, let them out of the pasture and come in here. Just another way to kind of disperse the worms, keep them out of the pasture that the goats are staying in all the time. The little pasture they're going into for the next week, it's kind of our smallest one, and it doesn't have the best forage in it. So always, whenever they're in that little pasture, I make sure they can get over here, and they can kind of eat all day. I mean, it's 25 acres right here that they can just kind of run around. My only concern out here is, coyotes. But I only keep them out here during the day. They're not out here at night. This is about as early as they get out here during the day. But as you can see, River just running through right there. So hopefully, if there is anything in here, he can either hear me talking, or coyotes or something. They can hear me talking right now, or just the smell of rivers will deter them a little bit. But they're gonna hang out here all day. When we get back from town, I'll set up the temporary fence, and they're gonna be all right. So I'm back from town now. If you can see, we got the tractor behind me. We're headed up to the lease, and we're gonna get it bush hogged. When I got back, all the goats were already put up. Daddy said they got into his rose bushes and his dogwood tree, so he went ahead and put them up. We might end up waiting till tomorrow to put that temporary fence since they're already put up. We'll just kind of have to see, as long as I don't run into any trouble bush hogging. But going up here to the lease, we're gonna bush hog. I don't want to cut it too short just because I want something to graze on throughout the winter, so I'm not having to feed so much hay. But I did mention to the couple that we've got the lease with that I keep the pasture looking clean, so we're gonna go in there and kind of knock down anything that's kind of tall. We're gonna leave everything about 6 to 8 inches tall. We're not gonna really scalp it, just kind of knock it down, pretty it up, so they're happy with it. So we'll get up there, we'll get the the tractor unloaded, and me and Rivers will get it knocked out. So this next afternoon, I got tied up with some stuff yesterday, but we got the pasture bush hogged. As you can see, I got my step-in post lined out across the front yard to get the goats over to that pasture. We're gonna need it in this pasture right here. The grass just isn't that well right here. This pasture is a lot of Bermuda, and it's a smaller pasture, and I had the horses in here a couple weeks ago, and they really hammered on it. We haven't got much rain since, so there's not a lot of forage out here for the goats. But it is a clean pasture in my eyes because the horses have been in here, and also Brisket's been in here as well. So we're going to be shuffling the goats over to the neighbor's pasture pretty much every afternoon. Anytime I have available to let them out, I'll let them out over there and come check on them in a couple hours. But I still got to string up the wire. I'll get that done today. But even when they go into the next pasture over, it's close enough I can just walk them over here with a bucket, and we'll utilize that pasture, kind of buy some time before winter to save us some forage. I know several months ago, a couple videos back, I was doing pasture divisions with this poly wire, and it does work with these goats. The only thing with the poly wire is you have to use 4 strands with these goats. I tried to use 3 strands, and they jump over the top of it, and so I started using 4 strands. It was working well. I made a full rotation doing that. It was working well, and then I tried to drop down to a 3 strand to try to kind of train them as I go, trying to get down to maybe 1 or 2 strands. But I don't know if it's going to work with these goats. It's just goats are a little trickier than the sheep or cows. They see one little wire, they don't really respect it too much. So it's just going to be playing with that going into winter with the forage available, so we don't have to feed so much hay. We might try to start doing that poly wire again. I know there's several electric systems out there that work really well that I might be looking into in the future if we're going to continue to rotate this fast, and hopefully we can break it up even into more pasture divisions, trying to outrun these worms and keep the forage available throughout the winter so we don't have to feed so much hay. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. The goats are back in the pasture for the afternoon. They're doing good. Everybody looks good. Brisket and Billy's look good. I got the horses moved yesterday after I cut the camera off after we got done bush hogging, but they look good. Everybody's looking good. So I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us in this video. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment, and we'll see y'all on the next one.